Why is Skyrim so popular? For a game that was released over a decade ago, there are constantly new videos about it on YouTube. Often in the video, the presenter tries to set a challenge for themselves playing the game in a new way.
Beating Skyrim without walking.
Meanwhile, I'm just sitting here like, interesting. Let's not watch that.
You lose me, Joe Rogan. I don't want to hear about it no more.
Skyrim is also where the first worldwide meme originated. You could go to any meme posting website back in the 2010s and find the arrow to the knee meme. Believe it or not, this is what peak comedy in the early 2010s was. On these sites, there would also be a lot of unfunny comments from Norwegians comparing Skyrim to Norway, calling it Norway Simulator 2011. This is false. If this was a Norway Simulator, where are all the grown men in Volvo 240s hitting on schoolgirls? Exactly. To understand why it got so popular, we gotta look back at its development. It's 2011, Oblivion was getting stale and had been out for 5 years. Todd decided that the time was ripe for the reveal of his next grand adventure, and rallied his goons to release the first gameplay trailer. I remember first hearing about Skyrim when I had some friends over and someone asked if anyone had seen the Skyrim trailer. We gathered around the monitor and were gobsmacked. Over 10 years later, this trailer still slaps. Following the release of the trailer, people were pre-ordering, folks over at the forums were singing the hymns, giving out fishy sticks and preaching the gospel. There were no breaks in sight on this hype train. Acquaintances of mine was already talking about it on social media, with some even saying they were gonna skip school to play it. During several interviews, Todd boasted that the game would contain over 150 dungeons, unscripted dragon fights, and no class system? Instead opting for a new approach with a dynamic skill leveling system. And the date was the same number repeating. I bet the marketing department were high-fiving each other on the ass over that move. To get a sense of scale for just how popular Skyrim was, we have to look at the sales numbers for this game. 30 million sold. Just short of beating the bubonic plague. Skyrim was released to nothing but praise from the reviewers. 10 out of 10s, 9.5 out of 10s, with only PlayStation Official Magazine UK giving it a 7 out of 10. It's okay though. Brits don't know spice when they see it. If there's anyone out there still confused about what Skyrim is, let me tell you. Skyrim is listed as an action role-playing game. It has been released on every home console platform following 2011 and has had 3 expansions. 4 actually. Making you wait all the way into the 10th anniversary release to get Horse Armor DLC. Good job guys. Skyrim is so popular they just needed to add fishing for people to eat it up again. Nice hook, line and sinker there boys. When I saw the game for the first time, I was still doubtful if it was my type of game. Thinking, it's probably not for me, I'm not an RPG guy. Only Mr. Wahoo Bing Bing for me. Oh yeah, and Bad Company too. But the longer I abstained, the more my friends started talking about their experiences in the game. This is when I broke. Alright, one try, just this once, I said to myself. Being the first Elder Scrolls game, I didn't know what to expect. And with bated breath I booted up around Christmas. Let me just preface this by saying I'm a Nintendo boy, right? I'm blessed with games having some kind of decent polish, so when I booted up Skyrim, I learned real quick about what quest progression flags are, and my F9 button got extra stimulated that year. I also learned that best way of nuking enemies? Why yes, I am a stealth archer. Don't believe me?
Stick your finger in your ass.
Of all the games I've played, Skyrim was the first one to include my favorite pastime. Monogamy. Heartfire made it possible to have children, instantly making it the game of the year for Al-Qaeda. What I loved about Skyrim is that you could just go anywhere and discover cool places and be rewarded for it. I think I can say with confidence that there hasn't been any game like Skyrim. And to confirm my bias, I was listening to the radio in my car the other day and it had a piece about people on the older side playing games. In this piece, many of the interviewees listed Skyrim as their favorite game to play. It made me picture Skyrim as a gateway drug to other games. Modding Skyrim is huge on PC and only continues to I'm gonna fucking smash my monitor. And only continues to contribute to Skyrim's popularity. Bethesda knew this, and just as the game was on top, Todd slammed his salami fingers on the table and made the executive decision of adding paywall to mods. Uh-oh. I'm going to piss a lot of people off by saying I generally like my game experience to be mostly vanilla, and many mods disrupt the balance of the game. It just isn't the way God intended it to run, and it's morally bankrupt. If you've ever downloaded and installed mods, just know that hell is waiting below. God, I'm just blasting through this checklist right now. Let me let you in on a little story. When I was in my teenage years, I used to get around 4 friends over and we would have a little lawn party in my living room. My parents were constantly on vacation. And there was this one time I had a lot of friends in my house and a buddy was playing Skyrim and he asked one of the girls over if she wanted to try Skyrim. And she agreed. After a while she killed a female bandit and my buddy goes like, take her armor. What she didn't know is that my guy here had a nude mod installed and when she looked down at the body she had looted she ran from the PC screaming,
Yo, what the fuck?
good times. Skyrim never seems to completely die. If I look at my friends list there's always someone with playtime on Skyrim. While I do enjoy this game myself, I feel like it's well overdue a new game in the franchise. While Todd and his band of merry men are over there making Skyrim in space, the rest of us is sitting here adding slime girl mods for Lydia so we can observe penetration from the outside. Dragons were the main draw of the game. In the interviews you'll hear Todd explain that dragons were always planned to be in the game. He also states, on one hand we always liked dragons and we wanted to see them really well done in a game. Classically you have a dragon that breathes fire. Well, now our dragons are speaking this dragon language that creates fire, cold, wind or slows time. Things like that make them pretty unique. And it was unique. Having dragons get their breath weapon from dragon words was a clever twist and a lot of people responded well to it. The game gets a lot of things right, although somehow they come off as half done. I believe that their ambitions for the game got too big and that left other things somewhat thought out. My issues with the game being mages in Skyrim don't feel good to play and the standing stones don't help that. That's also one thing that changed. Instead of like in Oblivion where you picked your birth sign, you had to find standing stones for the ability you actually wanted, and they were just not as good. The removal of known role-playing classes and instead going for dynamic skills depending on how you play is a huge pitfall for most players. Dynamic skill only reinforces the way you play and changing your mind midway trying to swap is not beneficial. Because leveling to get more skill points later takes a tremendous amount of time and sucks. You're just shooting yourself in the foot by trying to change your playstyle later. If they wanted it to be more dynamic, why didn't they give you a way to respec your skills? This is a huge missed opportunity and traps players in an unsatisfying grind. Combat in the game is one-dimensional at best. You either hit, block or pause the game to heal. And the longer you get in the game, the more you feel like the combat lacks any meaningful strategy to winning encounters. Combat encounters get very repetitive and the fastest way to be done with combat is just sneak attacking for an ungodly damage multiplier. That's the thing too, the difficulty in the game. The slider is just setting the amount of damage you do versus the damage you take, and it is one thing, lame. Radiant AI Quests was advertised as the game never running out of things for you to do. While it directly feeds into the gameplay loop of Skyrim, it's most of the time just generating you fetch quests. Exploration is where the game is at though. You know me, I'm a huge sucker for finding secrets in a game. You give me a hint of a pathway behind a waterfall and you make me feel like Sherlock Holmes. If you're also into that shit, go play Tunic, I ain't fucking around. The best way to experience the game is to never look at the quest marker and go find some caves to explore. Before you know it, you're in Blackreach. This game's equivalent of the Underdark from Dungeons & Dragons. Getting here for the first time is one of the coolest moments in gaming. The whole game, however, is riddled with this jank. It has its own way of making scene animations, and if you want to show someone Skyrim in a nutshell, just show them this. They can keep selling this game forever because it feels forever relevant. New console is out, it gets a Skyrim version. It was truly many people's first introduction to the role-playing adventure. But you know what they should do? Streamline it down to the basics. Maybe it can be some sort of spin-off. Can you imagine how much that would sell? Oh. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the dislike button and leave an angry comment on your way out. Goodbye.